I've got a guest today, very important person. Okay, yes. Everybody say hi to Andrew. Okay, he's Korean, well, semi-Korean. Yeah. Okay. Everybody say hi. 안녕하세요. Yes. Everybody say hi. Okay. Yes. Good evening, everybody. Sound test. Okay. Sound test to make sure the sound is okay. I'm gonna bring it a bit closer. Okay. Can everybody hear me? Okay. I'm not worried about the internet. Alright, cool. I'm gonna shift the lights up. You look fat on this. You look round on this.
Yeah, I do. I have a very flat.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. Wen Liang. Good evening to you. Okay. Yes. Andrew. Yes. Good evening to you too. Okay. Lovely topic. Okay. Oh, sound is okay. Great. Okay. The light is okay. Am I too bright? Okay. We're in a very dark environment, so yeah. Okay. So let me introduce the person tonight. Okay. A quick one first, and then more people will come in. Okay. I have the Chief Financial Officer of Gashkop, a company that's across how many countries already? 10?
11.
11 countries, right? Okay, 11 countries. Now he's Korean. I'm made in Korea because of my skincare and the hair. Okay, yeah. So he's Korean. JS Park. Okay, JS Park. You do look Korean. Okay, he's Korean, right? I'm not. Okay, yes. Live band playing. Yes. Okay, so it's a live band playing right now. Okay, so. The Korean housing, okay, is going through now a housing crash. Okay, I can call it a crash, right? Yeah, I can call it a crash. So, many of us live in the disbelief that will ever happen in Singapore. Now, Andrew is a good person because he lives he's straddled between Singapore and Korea. Okay, I've known him for what 4 years? 4 years already, right? So. He's going to give us a opinion. Now he's not a housing expert, but he's on the ground. He sees things happening. Okay, so I thought it's important for him to come in and talk about the Korean situation, and you be your own judge. Okay, and see whether what happened in Korea can happen in Singapore. How about that? Okay, cool. All right. So before you all start, we got guests here. You all don't give a like. It's very embarrassing for me, leh. Okay. Please, can you all give a like? Yeah. Okay. Yes. Can you guys hear me at all? I don't see any much people say hello to me. Usually there's a lot of people say hello to me. Okay. We have a guest here and suddenly everybody become. Okay. Yes, Jake. Good to see you. Yes. Okay. Jason like. Okay. I need more likes than that. Okay. Little Bear. Good to see you. Hello. Okay. Can hear. Okay. Good. Okay. Cool. Now maybe Andrew, maybe talk a little bit about yourself. You are not exactly Korean. Okay, maybe you describe a little bit about yourself. Okay.
Sure. Good evening. Name is Andrew. I actually was born in Canada, in Vancouver, but grew up mostly actually in Seoul. So very traditional Korean family. Actually,
both your parents are Korean, right?
yes, straight
Okay.
Korean.
Okay.
Lived between Korea, so Seoul and China growing up. And then basically, I guess life took me to different parts of the world. So, university in the States, a lot of work out of Hong Kong. So I was mostly in finance. Spent some time in Beijing, and I guess now based between Singapore and Korea. So yeah, I guess that's me in a nutshell.
Do you have a house in Korea?
I do. So I bought my first property in 2015. Also bought a commercial property then as well. But one of my biggest hobbies actually is to look at real estate. So I do that a lot during weekends.
Really? And you still do that?
I still do.
Oh,
I
okay.
think right now is the most exciting time actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool. Okay. So today essentially the question I have is this. Okay. What is happening? First of all, we'll get Andrew to describe what's happening in Korea, and also ask him some questions. Okay. But more importantly, for us to judge whatever happening in Korea really happening in Singapore, because whatever happened in Korea is not unique. Whatever happened in Korea is happening right now in every part of the world right now. Yes, we are in Korea right now. We're in Seoul, in the hotel lobby. Okay. Yes. So I think it's very important for everybody to listen to the story from Andrew. What happened to Korea housing? Okay. So are you guys ready? Okay. So that is invaluable to learn whether that will happen in Singapore. Because when you hear it's like, That sounds so familiar. Okay, cool. Yeah. So Andrew, so the question really is, well, what's happening to Korean market? What caused it to fall? Yeah.
So basically, in short, past 5 years in Korea has been quite dramatic. You've seen center city Seoul, so Gangnam, Yongsan, literally most branded apartments, as we call, have gone up about 3 times in price. So if it was $1 million before, about $3 million now, in the past 5 years.
Really?
So
On average?
On average.
Wow.
So typically in Korea, we call it's private condos.
There's no HDB equivalent in.
There is, but it's all in the outskirts, and it's not viewed in a very favorable light. Supply is also very limited.
And it's not viewed like Singapore, right? HDB is okay.
Not at all. Not
I
at
see.
all.
So everybody buys condo in that sense.
Exactly.
Okay.
It went up 3x, and if you look at the recent graphs, literally in the past 7 to 8 months, you've seen prices really across the board fall about 30%. So I guess literally we're seeing prices fall like 1 to 2% per week. Per week.
Okay.
And I think that's where I guess there's a lot of fear because a lot of the properties are over levered. So you're seeing 7 to 90% leverage on these properties, which means negative equity for many home buyers.
So the Singapore property went up probably by 50 to 100% over COVID. Okay. And that's not as serious as Korea, but it is it's also it's also jumping up in a big number, but we haven't seen any crash. So back to your story, right? So what happened? Why did it crash by 30%? 30% is a huge number, no?
I mean, so a couple of things I think.
Well, this 30% over what kind of period?
Less than a year. We're looking
You're
at
kidding?
6 to 8 months. Yeah.
6 to 8 months, it collapsed by 30%.
Yes.
Is it still collapsing?
Yes.
Oh, it's still collapsing.
Yes.
We haven't seen the end yet.
So it's collapsing to the extent where real estate is a policy-driven, I guess, asset in any country. But literally yesterday, the Korean government announced that they are getting rid of all limitations or restrictions on real estate. But the trend continues to be a downward spiral.
Oh, so the government is so fearful of the fall right now that they're relaxing all the rules
Yes.
to an attempt to stop the crash.
Yes.
Yeah. So hi Obelu, good to see you. So the question really is, why did the market crash?
So a couple of reasons. I mean, I think overall it did go up a little bit too much during COVID. So 5 years, the trend has been quite scary. But beyond that, I think it's where policies have really restricted individuals those who wanted to buy, you needed to be first-time home buyers. So we're talking about people in their 20s and 30s, and it was heavily levered. So we're talking about 60 to 80% leverage.
60-80% is not very high.
In Korean standards, high, because before the LTV numbers were 40%, even 20% at one point.
So when the youngsters buy a house, you have to borrow 60 to 80%.
Yes.
That's quite common even in Singapore.
So I think that's what surprises me about Singapore when we see like private condo trading. Like you start off with very very high, I guess, mortgage packages.
Yep.
But in Korea, it's not very common at all.
Really? Okay. How high is the interest rate right now in Korea?
So contextually, when I bought my first residential 2015, I was paying 3%. Now I'm paying 8.
8.
Yes.
8.
Yes.
Okay. That's quite serious.
Yeah, and my credit score is not bad.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, you have a credit. So there is a credit score system like the US.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay, 8%. That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, that explains. Well, 8%. Wow. Okay, what is Singapore right now? 4.5 or something like that. Okay, I think it's about 4.5 or something like that.
And so I think if we go back to why it's crashed, I mean, interest rates going up is one, but actually, I think one thing that shocks many people is in 2015 when I got a mortgage, I only needed to repay interest. I didn't need to. My principal was a bullet payment.
Okay, which means that you only pay interest and then your principal, you wait until the end, then you pay the principal.
Correct.
They allow that?
No, that was market norm. And actually,
That was market norms. Okay.
I would just keep extending the loan.
Okay.
So I don't really have to care about the principal.
Okay.
But that law changed about 3 years ago, I believe.
Okay.
So now you have to repay with principal together. So that makes a very big difference in repayment.
But that's fair, right? But most housing payment, I never heard of bullet payment in Singapore for housing.
So it's just been like that in Korea. Now with the rates up, the debt servicing levels are way too high. that you're starting to see a lot of defaults. So the auction market is
Defaults. Okay. Wow, that's quite serious, right? Okay, so really, so what really caused the market to crash is number one, high interest rate, right? Okay, what else?
I think the other one is oversupply. So Korea, I think we had our heydays with economic growth in the 80s and 90s. That's when most of the apartments were built. So in Center City Seoul, a lot of reconstruction happening right now. So now after multiple years, you're starting to see a lot of new high-rise apartments ready. People going in, which means that there's more supply than demand.
So what we're saying is that an increase in supply. How like when did the supply started coming? Because I would imagine that during COVID it was quite difficult to build, right? There must be a supply crunch. So when did the supply start building up?
Literally start of this year. That's when it's getting worse. So I guess whenever people talk about real estate, the base assumption is that it will continue to fall throughout this year, minimally.
Okay, so something interesting is that the supply just started increasing this year and the crash started happening. So two things, right? There was an increase in supply and there was high interest rates. So Singapore interest rate is also rising, not as bad as you guys, but 8% is going up, but we are coming up as well. And our supply is also coming up, right? With a huge amount of HDB and condos are coming up as well, right? So are we that different, right? So now with your own opinion, do you think that whatever happens to Korea will happen to Singapore?
So I think honestly, looking at Singapore as a Korean, we often, my Korean friends in Singapore, we often when we were very young, let's say 20 years ago, when we imagined Singapore was so much more expensive than Korea. But now when we look at Korean prices, we realize that actually, like in Singapore, we can say that condos are expensive, but if you compare it to Korea, a 3-bedroom apartment in Korea, Center City is about 2 million Sing starting. So
2 million Sing starting.
Yeah.
And you're talking about prime location or not necessarily?
Not even prime location.
Not even prime
Yeah.
location. Oh shit.
So
Okay.
that's where I guess relatively, from a Korean standpoint, Singapore is cheaper, one. But at the same time, because of the different options like HDB available for so many people, it doesn't seem as drastic. Or I wouldn't expect things to be as drastic of a fall in Singapore.
Okay. So in Seoul or Busan is the same?
So the more you go out of Seoul, the worse it is.
What?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Why?
Because everyone is coming together in Seoul because they see it as the safest. Just like so, Koreans look at the property trends back in Japan. So in Japan, Tokyo, you've seen the same rise and fall. Tokyo outskirts, nobody lives there anymore. But Tokyo has been able to sustain somewhat. So I guess we take a lot of our learnings from Japan.
Okay, so that makes sense. So in the heart of city, the prices still kind of fall the least.
Yes.
But once you go outskirts, the prices fall tremendously.
Yes.
We saw that in yesterday's report in Singapore, that they call it CCR, right? And within the city, the prices actually rose, but the rest of the outskirts, the condo prices actually fell. So that's quite similar, right? So we're not that far away from Korean experience, right? So there's a big. So what else you see as in Singapore? I think there's a big belief that our foreigners are coming in to maintain the property prices. What do you think? Right? You don't have that in Korea, right?
We definitely do not have that. I mean, there have been moments where there have been local complaints that Chinese money is coming in, but the numbers are actually very small. Singapore, I guess, in my opinion, I feel there will be more, I guess, wealthy families, individuals, family offices coming in to probably jack up prices.
Yeah. Okay, but don't forget, the foreigners, unless they are PRs, they cannot buy HDB. But that doesn't explain why HDB prices are going up, right? So the uplift, I don't think is completely attributed to foreigners, right? So in that sense, whatever the reasons for it to go up and now causes Korea to come down, we should take a lesson from it. I'm not saying for sure it will happen, but let's take a chapter from it, right? So how is the general market sentiment right now, right? I was told by another Korean friend today that there is just fear, just fear right now. Nobody is stepping in because the minute it wasn't like a gradual drop. It was like a, suddenly everybody realized that, hey, I could lose money, and they start pulling out and the price just crashed. What can you tell the experience?
So I think honestly quite dire, because past 3 years most of the young adults have bought. Now they're at negative
high
equity.
price.
They've lost money. Their parents didn't imagine this would ever happen to their children. But this goes. It's a bigger stemming problem where Korea has the lowest birth rate in the world. I think 0.78.
Oh, they thought that Singapore is low. Well, Korean is lower. Why?
I mean, it's just too expensive to have a kid. It's too expensive to buy a home. And if you don't get that stability, you might as well not have kids. And I think that's the overall sentiment. So I guess now the situation is exacerbated because I guess people are literally spending their whole salary to service debt. And then where's the hope? Where's the future? I think these are actual conversations that even our team members in Korea have, where you ask our 20 of our staff, at least 10 would say, I have no plans to have kids.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. Okay, that's bad. Do you plan to have kids?
I hope so.
Okay, so looking forward, what do you think will happen to Korean property prices?
So actually, we always say that in every regard, Korea follows Japan, and so same trend we'll see Seoul and Tokyo. Fun fact: I was in Tokyo about 2 weeks ago, and at that time, my friend in real estate was showing me during the heydays of Japan 30 years ago, Tokyo hit a certain price. It fell, and then it slowly crawled up to now that same price 30 years ago.
30 years ago.
30 years ago.
Okay.
Korea probably the cycle may be shorter, but at least for me, I'm really looking at the market. If once we are at 50% of the peak, I think that's going to be a time where personally myself will be very active.
Oh, so
in the
you believe that the market will crash to 50?
I'm hoping so.
Oh, hoping
Yeah.
so. Okay, cool. Wow. Okay, that's interesting. That's interesting. Yeah, let's take some questions, shall we? Someone asked a question just now. How's the rental market in Seoul and Busan?
Overall residential cap rates is only about 2% in Korea, 2 to 3%. It's the Korean rental system is quite different. There's two types. One is like rental like Singapore, so a monthly basis, but the other is a fixed deposit. So if a house is $1 million, I could live there by giving the landlord, let's say $600,000 as a deposit and no monthly. So I think that's where a big catalyst on why prices have been jacked up as well.
Okay.
But if you're thinking purely on a monthly rental basis, 2%, 2.5% would be quite standard.
Okay, they don't quite understand this. So basically, is the rental high or low?
Rental is quite low.
Quite low. I see. Rental is low. I see. Wouldn't that be a reason why? But it has been low throughout.
Yes,
Or
it has been
low throughout. Okay.
but also increasing because interest rates are increasing.
Okay. Right. Cool. Okay. Let me see what other questions there were. Is the Korean property market on leasehold or freehold?
Freehold.
Freehold.
All freehold.
All freehold.
Yes.
And it crashed.
Yes.
Guys, you heard that? Okay. Freehold, no assurance. At least in Korea, no assurance that it will not fall. Leasehold is even worse, right? And Singapore majority is the leasehold because 85% of Singaporeans live in HDB. Yeah. So did the government did anything that precipitated the crash? Meaning that did they do any cooling measure? They saw the market was ramping up, it was too hot, and did they did something, impose more taxes, impose more something that caused the market to crash?
So I guess the short answer is yes. So they restricted. If you own a home, it's very difficult to buy the second home. So more asset tax, number one. So debt LTV ratio, so the amount of loans you can get to buy, also have dropped significantly. In some areas, it's actually zero if it's too popular of a district.
I see.
But overall, I guess it was really because of the laxing of the rules was also quite recent because of a change in legislation.
I
So
see.
the ruling party had changed as well.
I see. In Korea now, Singaporeans are mad about property. Chinese are mad about property, and so on. Is a Korean also mad about property? Everybody likes to own a home. It's like like an asset that everybody likes to own?
So we call it ilho 재테크. It means it is everyone's first investment.
Oh, okay. You must own a property, right? Oh,
And
so
if you don't, you look like a failure.
really?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. So it's the same, right? Okay. So with the exception of our belief that with the exception of belief that foreigners will lift up our Singapore property prices, but Korea is so big, right? And Singapore is so small. Okay. Land is like seeming now, including myself. I don't know the geography of and population of Korea. Is land scarce in Korea?
Center City Seoul, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. But let's say in Seoul.
I mean, so I guess the more you go to the outskirts, yes, there's available land, there's new properties, etc. But there's still a very strong drive. Everyone says it's easy to leave Seoul, but it's impossible to come back. So everyone keeps coming to the center.
I see. Okay, and that's why. So in the heart of the city, how much of the property prices has fallen by?
30%.
Oh, even the. But no, like you mentioned just now that the heart of the city, the fall is less.
Oh, so I'm talking about the heart of the city is 30%. Outskirts is even more dramatic. Some are 50%, 60%.
You kidding?
Yes.
Oh, you're talking about the heart of city,
Oh,
30%.
yes.
Oh shit! Right. So don't think that the heart of city won't fall. Right? This is a so heart of city or so. There's no land. Yeah? There's not even trees. Right? There's not much trees. Right?
Yeah.
There's no land, no trees, nothing. Okay. So you've been, right? If you go to Myeongdong or I don't know Gangnam, all this, it's like concrete jungle, right? There's no spare land for anything, right? So that has crashed by 30%. If you go to the outskirts, it's like 60 or something like that. You think? So now I'm not fear mongering. I'm just saying that this is the Korean experience. Maybe it wouldn't happen in Singapore, right? But I don't see us that different. I don't see us that different. Okay, the only difference is there's a hell of foreigners coming in. Maybe don't have that, but that doesn't explain our HDB are not shielded by foreigners. There's foreigners cannot buy HDB, right? Are you a PR in Singapore?
No.
Oh wow. Okay. Yeah, you should be. Okay. Anyway, so okay. So is it a good time to invest in Korean property?
I think not yet. The timing will come.
You can see that it's still falling.
And that is general consensus.
Okay.
So, but I guess purely for investment, I don't know. I don't think residential is necessarily that good.
Okay. Yeah. Can foreigners buy a property in Korea?
Yes, but no leverage.
No leverage. Okay. I see. Okay, that's cool, right? Yeah. Is it is it a view right now that property is still a good investment?
No longer so.
No longer so. So that's the key difference. When suddenly the public opinion change, when you no longer FOMO, okay, that's different, right? Yes, South Korea is huge, but in the heart of city Seoul, I don't think we are much different between Singapore and Seoul, right? Right?
Yeah.
You stay in Singapore for how many years?
3 years.
3 years, right? Right? I don't think we're much different.
Yeah.
I can say maybe Singapore got more land than Seoul.
It's more spacious for sure.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Seoul is like freaking concrete jungle, right? And Seoul city itself has crashed by 30%. Okay? So are we that different, right? Okay? But okay, someone said this is a fair comment. Maybe CPF is we have got CPF. Does a Korean have a CPF equivalent system that people can use spare cash to buy houses?
No.
Okay? But so you do have your own social security. You have your own social security system, right?
We have a pension, but it's not a very trusted pension.
Not like CPF. Hey guys, use your CPF smartly. Yeah? Any political impact? I think broaden it. Any political and economic impact ever since the property market crash? Did it cause the other part of the economy to crash?
I guess it would be linked to consumer spend, but I mean, this is where I think even Korea actually during COVID did quite well because of local consumption power. Similar to US, the more big domestic markets.
Is there still inflation in Korea
Oh,
right
it's
now?
very bad right now. Yes.
It's still bad?
Yes.
Oh shit, yeah, it's still bad, right? I look at Myeongdong, it's a hell of a lot of people over the weekend, right? Yeah, it's Jackson, good to see you. Yeah, so it's a lot of people. Okay. How is the stock market of Korea right now?
Very volatile, but it also fell 30% from its peak.
30% from peak.
Yes,
Okay.
but a lot of fluctuation in the currency as well against the dollar.
Yes, came down quite a lot, right?
Yes.
Okay. But that's because the interest rate of the US dollar have risen. That's the same. Sing dollar has came down versus the US as well. Okay. Okay, that's very interesting. So actually, that's a very so just to sum up. Okay, just to sum up, do you see? Now that you sit in Korea, you understand somewhat of Singapore economy because you've lived in both countries and you're still traveling between the two countries. Do you see whatever happened in Korea, will it happen to Singapore?
Personally, I think it will, but to a much lesser extent.
Okay, why?
Just because I feel the social support system as well as the government input in Singapore is a lot more apparent. So I feel the Singapore government has more control to be able to prevent these things from happening.
Wait, you're saying that the government is supporting the price from falling?
We'll be able to have introduce metrics to be or ways to be able to make it more stabilized. Whereas
I
Korea
see.
is in complete kind of downfall right now.
Really? Okay, that's very interesting, right? That's very interesting. Any last questions, right? Before we wrap up, right? I'm gonna let him go. Now it's already at 12:30 Korean time, reaching 1 a.m. Yeah. Any last questions for Andrew, right? Okay. Any last questions? Okay. Yep. Okay, I think it's a Wi-Fi issue. Okay, is Korean property a bubble? Is a Korean property a bubble and downturn and high interest, low demand caused this crash? I think you missed it just now. So where Andrew was saying is that there was a huge spike and suddenly there was an increase in supply and an increase in interest rates. Okay, and that caused the whole thing to crash. That at these high prices, what are the chances that Singapore property can go higher with 4 to 5% interest, expect to stay high for a few years? Yes, agree, you'll slide down. Okay, that's another Andrew that believes in that. Yeah. So maybe let's get a poll right now. How many of you, after listening to Andrew, thinks that whatever happened to Korea, could happen to at least a lesser extent to Singapore, right? Or it completely won't happen at all, right? Would it basically back to the same question? Would it fall, flat, or rise? Okay, would it fall? Okay, in Singapore, flat or rise? Okay, let's get a view right now. Would it fall, flat, or rise? Okay, there's a lag. Yeah, there's an internet lag here. Okay, it will fall, flat, fall. Okay, much lesser fall in Singapore. We don't disagree that. Yes. Okay, right. Fall like a ball, flattish, flat, fall, flat. Okay, so we are, okay, that's very interesting. So I think we're about 50-50 today, right? Okay, yeah, 50-50 today, quite interesting, yeah. So, okay, well, with this, we'd like to thank everybody for joining us tonight. Okay, thank Andrew, everybody, if you help me, give a like and thank Andrew for joining us tonight, okay? And, we'll be happy to anybody have any questions, you can always email me, okay? And please join me and say thank you and good night to Andrew, okay? Okay, thank you. All right, thank you. Really appreciate this time. Okay, thank you. Kamsahamnida. Okay, thank you. All right, thank you. Okay, so food for thought. Okay, so we'll see you. Singapore low leverage, a lot of it. Okay, yes. Okay, cool. All right, with this, thank you and good night. Okay. Flat cosmetic cool measure. All right, cool. All right, thank you. People are still searching for a pocket. Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you.